Hello guys, welcome to the new episode, and in this episode we will cover some of the mysteries in inner Himalayas. Now you all know that the Himalayas are vast, but did you know that only 10 to 40% of Himalayas are reported to be explored till today? It means that majority of the Himalayas, or the inner Himalayas as they call, is still left to be explored. There is a very famous line used by Dan Brown in his book, "You fear what you don't know." This is very true for the inner parts of the Himalayas that have still not been explored. I did some studying about the mythologies of the Himalayas from ancient period. Some of them persist till today. In this episode, I thought that 3 of them are worth discussing. You hear that thunderstorm? What an interesting night to tell mysterious stories, huh? Some of these mysteries are really thrilling, while others are spooky. The first one is a mystery. It's a mystery of the Roopkund Pond. This Roopkund Pond that I am talking about is located in Uttarakhand. It is about 5,000 meters above sea level, or 17,000 feet roughly. It is always covered with snow because there is always some kind of blizzard going on. You will ask, what is a blizzard? A blizzard is a snowstorm. The reason why this Roopkund lake is so unexplored is because it's always covered with snow, except for a small part. Legend has it that a rishi visited this lake long ago and he blessed a little part of the lake so that life could survive. Some of the Himalayan villages also believe that this rishi was the left hand of Shiva. The left hand is a sect created by Shiva to use both dark energy and light energy to protect the world against evil. So naturally, this rishi was believed to be a very powerful person who could bless this lake and make it inhabitable by some creatures. But what is so strange about this Roopkund lake? In 2008, some explorers discovered this lake and they found 38 human bodies or remains of human bodies. Some of these bones also had flesh in it. Even in such frozen conditions, it is impossible for flesh to survive 1,000 years of decay. What was even more shocking that they found nearly 1,000 to 2,000 bones near that place, which could not be just coming from 38 dead people. So there were more dead people. So the question was, how many people did actually die in that pond? How long ago they died? How did they die? And what were they doing in that pond or near that pond in the first place? Because remember, I told you the lake and the whole area is frozen all times of the year, and there are no nearby villages, meaning that this area was never inhabited by any human person. So where did these bodies come from? There are 2 answers. This group of scientists who examined these bones claimed that these people inhabited the area 1,000 years ago, and some of them might have died and the bones were preserved. First, the scientists thought that some sort of bacteria could have caused their death. Now there is another explanation. It's a mythology among some of the villagers. These 38 bodies belong to the family of a king who used to rule over the area in 8th century. A deity then cursed the king for being corrupt, which is why his entire family died and their bodies didn't decay well enough. There's another shocking angle to it. In 1940 British India, a British explorer first found this lake, but he didn't see any bones or dead bodies near this lake. It means that the bones must have come between 1940s to 2008 when the bones were first discovered. Some people think that this could be the case of a serial murderer or some mass murder case where they have disposed of bones near the lake where nobody could ever find it. But even if that is the case, it is difficult to imagine that one or a few serial killers might have killed so many people and transported their bodies to such a distant location where it's so difficult to go, even today. Our second mystery from the inner or unexplored Himalayas is the case of Yeti. Those who live in Delhi must have heard about Yeti the Himalayan kitchen, but they probably never thought about the term Yeti. Yeti is an ancient term used by the Sherpa people of Nepal, and it is written in the Devanagari script. The meaning of Yeti is mountain man or snowman. The story behind the word Yeti is that in the inner or unexplored parts of Himalaya, there lives a man who is half human and half animal, and he is a protector of the Himalayas. Now this sounds like a fabricated story, a mythology, and so many people believe in it. Not just the tribes who live in the Himalayas, but even people, even explorers who went from outside. There has been multiple stories about this. If you Google, you will find a lot of stories, feature articles on the existence or sightings of Yeti. In fact, in 2019, some soldiers of the Indian Army sent pictures of footmarks of a creature which was too big for human and even too strange for a monkey or a bear. In social media, these photos sparked a debate among the believers and the non-believers. The non-believers obviously blame the Indian Army for supporting a mythology or a narrative that is fake, while the others thought that these photos could be the evidence forming this mythology of Yeti. I decided to read some papers and articles on it because those studies can be a little bit more scientific than mere news reports. All these studies categorically denied that any creature as such could ever exist. I think that if you live in a mountain area or a snow-capped place like the Canada, it is easy for people to cultivate this kind of mythologies where a snowman is protector of the woods, and that's why this mythology didn't seem much weird to me. That footprints could also be the creation of different geographical processes such as snow accumulation or some other animal carving in the snow. Interesting fact, in the 1950s, a British explorer tried to find an alternative route to Mount Everest. After their expedition was over, they both reported and even sold pictures of this huge footprint of a creature. They claimed that the footprint belonged to Yeti. Even during that time, that footprint was heavily published. Anyhow, till today, Yeti remains a mysterious creature or a mythology, and there is no confirmed study on the existence of Yeti. And now it's time for me to tell you about the third mystery or mythology from the inner Himalayas. I saved the best for the last. Anybody living in India has probably heard once or twice about the Sanjivani booty. Yeah, the famous herb that was mentioned in Ramayana by Tulsidas. The same herb that even Hanuman could not locate, and that's why he had to move an entire mountain. Now for a long time, the existence of Sanjivani booty or the Sanjivani herb was believed to be a mythology. But guess what? Some of the recent studies have shown that in the inner parts of Himalaya, there exists a herb which is very rare to find, but if you find it, you can cure almost anything with it. Its botanical name is Selagnella bryoceras. Both the government and the scientific community is convinced that this plant, Selagnella, exists somewhere in the inner Himalayas. It's just that we haven't found it yet. This is why DRDO has set up a branch in Uttarakhand, and there are different teams to it. These teams explore different parts of Himalaya in search of that plant. But if nobody has ever seen the Selagnella plant or what it looks like, how are they supposed to find it? Here comes the traditional knowledge. Some of the village wise men have said that they can show what the pattern of this Selagnella plant looks like from their ancient scripts. The ancient wisdom of the Himalayas also says that these plants are not only very difficult to find, but also very difficult to procure. This is because the Salagnella plant is believed to bloom only at night, and if you find it in a river, it blows or flows against the pattern of the river, which is very strange in itself because anything living or dead cannot flow against the flow of water. While the scientists could not find the exact Salagnella or Sanjivani plant, they found some identical plants. When they did preliminary research on it, they found that these identical plants could not only regenerate cells, which ultimately causes decay in human body or, as we know, death, but it can also cure many diseases such as skin diseases, lung diseases, stomach problems, breathing issues, and more. 2 or 3 studies even found that these identical plants to Salagnella could also cure depression. If this will be the case with Salagnella as well, it will be a breakthrough because, as you know, depression is a chronic disease. Once you have it, you can treat it, but you cannot cure it completely. And imagine if Salagnella could be found and it could actually regenerate cells. This means that the treatment could actually cure something like death. Because to stop that, we only have to stop cell decay. I mean, you could obviously die from diseases and accidents and many other things, but cell decay is the primary reason of human death, which is also known as old age. So if you could prevent old age or different sorts of diseases, the chances of death could be minimized by a great measure. I can't tell you how much excited it makes me to think that scientists have different teams in place to explore this plant, and if they find this plant, it could cure so many things. But unfortunately, finding Salagnella or Sanjivani won't be that easy. Because although we have infinite time to find it, we don't have infinite teams or resources. Because the only evidence that something like this exists in India is our mythologies. And if Hanuman could not find something, you should know that that is going to be a very, very difficult challenge to overcome. Anyway, we have approached the end of this episode, and these were the 3 interesting mysteries from the inner Himalayas that I wanted to share with you guys. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, and you can also share these stories with your friends